All right. Everything sound okay? Oh, sometimes we can have some audio issues, but I think we're good. See if my camera will focus in. Um, I was having an issue where my camera frame rate was really low. Should be at around 30 frames per second. Let's see. Of course, I, like an idiot, am only doing this in the middle of the stream, but I think it's okay. So how are you guys doing? I haven't talked to any of you guys in, well, not too long, but in a while. We got the same headphones. Oh my lord, Ben, you are part of the audiophile club. The absolutely cancerous corner. Actually, audio corner of the internet isn't too bad. Actually, quite nice most of the time. But yeah. These headphones are insane, and I got a really good deal on them used because they are expensive as holy hell. And I don't mix on speakers, so if I'm making music, I don't have studio monitors. In order to get good studio monitors that will produce results, it's still like $500. So I figured I would spend, a little more, get a good pair of headphones, get the Harman Target EQ on the headphones, and I could do it that way, and I get similar results from studio monitors. Yeah. All right. No, I think it's like kind of known already that I'm just the dude. I don't know. It's weird. Like it's one thing. Like I love music. But tons of people love music, but I don't know. Like sound itself is really interesting, and I don't blame people for not being interested in it. Like what the fuck? I remember for so long, when you have a pair of headphones or earbuds, like you just care whether it produces sound, right? You don't really care about the quality so much. I mean, you do. Like when you hear something that sounds good, you're like, oh, whoa, that sounds really good. That's cool. But people don't have like actual like hi-fi headphones, or they haven't experienced like really good speakers before. And if you haven't experienced it, it's hard to put it into words like what it sounds like versus, semi-cheap earbuds or, monitor speakers, or like literally like speakers built into your monitor kind of deal. TV speakers, or or even fucking worse, gaming headsets. Holy shit. Talk about a giant waste of resources. But yeah, man. I'm all there. I think hearing something in good sound quality on good speakers and headphones in some cases makes the music sound way better. I agree. Oh, in some cases it does, just a little bit, you know. No, yeah, it makes a big difference, and it gives you a different appreciation. Not only that, the reason why people are obsessed with audio gear, some people are, is that other audio gear gives you different sounds. Like it is bizarre how different a song or how different something can sound on a different pair of headphones. Like it's just bizarre. Like the details are it's crazy. Like just simply swapping a pair of headphones, like even hi-fi end headphones, right? It's crazy different. You have planar magnetic headphones. These are dynamic driver headphones, but they're all different in a lot of ways. Electrostatics. Speaking of sound, what's everyone's thoughts on hyperpop / vaporwave? I like vaporwave. I'm a big fan of retro in a lot of ways. Like not only in a like sonically speaking, like retro, although I am very much interested in that, just retro in general, right? But then again, I try to explain to people that it's almost a historical thing, right? It's you like people don't think of like retro. Like there's a reason, guys. There's a reason why there's such a huge collective interest on retroism or things that are retro. That independent video editors, they use sort of retro effects. I do on my videos all the time. It's a thing of history, right? There's like an appreciation of what is, and we want to preserve that what is. People don't realize that, but like, what's that YouTube channel? LGR, I think you guys have seen. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. This dude will like make videos about old computers. And it's just, I mean, he's one of my favorite YouTubers, hands down. Like, it's actually extremely beautiful stuff, what he does. He will take really old, moderately old, like from the 90s, like technology and old computers, and he will just do stuff on them and make videos about them. Old video games and old mouse and keyboards. Like, that's, in my mind, a really special thing that I don't want to trivialize, I think it is important to do those things because what they're doing is they're partaking in a historical act, I think, Bad poetry. Spinoza podcast is amazing. I never had an idea going deeper into philosophy. It didn't attract me that much, but your podcast, oh, wow, thank you. My knowledge was mostly superficial when it came to him, but now, oh, thank you. Hey, I appreciate that. That's that's the goal. Spinoza is one of the more special modern philosophers, to say the least. Like, you can appreciate all philosophers from that time, right? They all really contended with stuff that even today that can seem like somewhat radical, as sad as that is. But given that modernity, or the modernity in which we were talking about during Spinoza was the 1600s. It's a long time ago. And what Spinoza was able to do is pretty incredible, like very much incredible. He's like in our next video we have coming out, which should be soon, I think. It's going to be on Deleuze and Spinoza. Deleuze sort of says that Spinoza is like a non-philosopher. And he says that because Spinoza, in his mind, is like the ultimate materialist philosopher. And that doesn't make sense. You're like, the fuck? What do you mean? He talks about metaphysics and stuff. Well, to Spinoza, like metaphysics and consciousness is a result of like bodies, right? And like the best way to describe, I think, Spinoza's philosophy is one of physics. Like, I think that's really it. Like, Spinoza's philosophy in many ways is physics. It's velocity and speed, right? We the sort of the attributes of the universe or of God can be seen through speed, right? Like, mountains are always moving. They're just some of the slowest moving things, while humans are quite fast, right? We travel places all the time, and we move quite fast. And you think about that, you're like, the fuck? Well, and it gets deeper than just speed, right? Your speed affects other people, and in Spinozian terminology, he'd say it affects other bodies. And then that speed, Spinoza in the Ethics talks about how, you touch someone in a crowd, it goes through to other people. People are affected. Spinoza thinks that's really important, Like, think about the time that he's operating in. He's operating in a time where I want to think that English philosophy was quite large, in the sense where there wasn't really, I don't think, I imagine, maybe it's just that we live in the United States or we live in Europe and, we're just Western liberals, but I think we never really accounted for a metaphysics very often that involved like a reaction, what's the best way to put it? A sort of connected reaction to something, right? Whether that be dialectics or in Spinozian terminology, maybe like process ontology, right? So I think what he does is quite very, very interesting, and it makes sense why Deleuze, even in the late 20th century, like, he has such an interest. And I also think Deleuze as well, it makes sense why Spinoza is quite important to Deleuze, being that Deleuze was quite against sort of the dialectic as a whole. When it comes to philosophy, because I love Deleuze in so many ways, and I love Hegel in so many ways, right? Like, a lot of people have asked me, how do you contend with that? And I don't think it's an either or thing a lot of the times, right? Whether it's multiplicities, right, as Deleuze would put it, or a monism with a sort of process ontology, right, a relating back to a core, almost a not, like, we don't need a dialectic, we don't need a duality of tension, and in some ways I agree, right? Like, But there's different ways you approach that, right? Like what? Metaphysically, right? How we live, the nature of our reality. And then in my mind, it gets even more interesting with like epistemology. I almost think in some ways the dialectic, I think post-structuralism in some ways can kind of point at some of the issues with the dialectic, right? Like if there's anything that's true, it's that shit is chaotic when you get down to the nitty-gritty, right? And it's not even, I don't know, right, if we can make that argument that at the core being it's absolutely dialectical. But at the same time, I don't really care. like I don't give a fuck. Like who cares? Like it's that like, look, both are quite interesting ways to look at things. Like really, like I think dialectics is an incredibly cool mode of thought and way of thinking. And I think the inverse is also true. I think having a sort of singular core, right, away from a duality or a dialectic, that's also cool. And there's pretty interesting points to be made. But the frame that wouldn't make sense in a Spinoza. I think the physics have some atomist. Well, perhaps. Ben, what do you think about high art versus low art? I've been talking with people about high art takes discipline, and it's not merely an elitism of capitalism. Some elitism is not bad. You know, that's a good question, right? High and low art. That's a let's see. I haven't really. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah, you know, like it depends on what we define as high art, right? Like what would you been like maybe there are some definitions. I see you said I was madly in love with vintage game systems when I was a kid. Before I was really into literature as much. The aesthetic is indeed great. Yeah, no, it is though. Going back to that. You know, I don't know though, man. I don't think I can answer that. No, I see okay, there might be a line of like sort of artistic or creative objectivity, but I'd extend that sort of objectivity into like originality, if that makes sense, right? Like a lot of art, we can say like if there's one thing about creation, maybe that is different with creation, it's just that the extent of difference. So when someone creates something, it's going to have a core that relates back to it, right? Like they're inspired by something. There's something that is connected to that, an old or other piece of art, right? Or an experience. And I think what's really cool about some art is when you like that relatedness in this creation is more ambiguous, right? It doesn't seem as clear, right? It's really creative and it's really different. And in my mind, maybe that's where we can separate it. It's like the level of difference, maybe. I don't know. That's probably totally not high and low art, definitionally speaking. But I think in some ways, there are things that are just like, wow, I've never seen that before. And it's certainly, I think, it's fair to say that, like, look, it's better. Right? It's better and invokes newer things that we haven't experienced before, newer things than other seemingly good art, but that has sort of been done before. It's related to, very closely related to something. I really like stuff that you know, it at least attempts to push the edges, right? So one thing, and this comes back to you know, I think when I think of art, I think a lot about video games today. I think I was talking to a dude on Twitter talking about it. Video games are sort of, in my mind, like, you know, I've kind of thought this for years, right? And I'm a pretty big gamer. I love video games, but I love like all video games, right? Like people play video games like competitive games as like sport, right? There's like a competitive thing. There's like an urge they're getting out of that. I don't know. I just like I just like video games. I like really cool interactive pieces of art. And it doesn't matter. I'm always in search of like a new game, right, to play. And I think there's, you know, clearly there's a lot of people like that. We were talking about how I think that's almost the most ultimate form of art in many ways today. And that sort of difference can be seen in video games, right? There's like, it's the biggest thing, right? When we get to like maybe a Mark Fisher tonality, right? Let's think about hauntology, where everything or like in postmodernism at large, everything's a recycling of another thing, right? Video games, it's a big deal. That's big. Like that's how video games are made nowadays, and it's catastrophic, right? It's catastrophic to a lot of the things, a lot of the games that push, you know, that gaming medium. And I mean, the entire gaming industry works off of this nostalgia, recycled nostalgia, right? Like Resident Evil has been doing it, and they've been but they're the best. They're the best at it, right? Like Resident Evil 2 remake, that was wonderful. It was a great game. I loved it. But they're actually good at it, right? You have like fucking Call of Duty and shit that will. All right, have you guys noticed this? So I loved Call of Duty 4. I think most people here played Call of Duty. You guys like Call of Duty 4 too. You love the Chernobyl mission, right? Every fucking Call of Duty has tried to replicate that mission of like the Chernobyl sniper mission with like Captain Macmillan and at the time Lieutenant Price and shit. They try to do it every fucking time, but that's how the entire industry works. They want to experience something again, and there's a comfort in that for some people. I get fucking irritated with it, but yeah. So that's why games like Disco Elysium, guys. I'm such a fucking big. I love Disco Elysium so much. I got something. I won't say any more. But expect something to do with Disco Elysium on this channel in a little while. That's it, though. Anyways, if you guys haven't played Disco Elysium, play it. It's one of my favorite games ever. But there's always those gems that pop out, right? And so, yeah. I think at least, oh, I almost never play video games. No, yeah. Well, then that's probably a little bit harder to explain, right? We can translate that to cinema and film too, right? I also, Tony. Oh, how's it going, man? Is it Tona? I'll just call you Tona. That's right. What's up, my friend? We talking about art? Yeah, we're talking about a little bit of everything. Art right now, though. Speaking of Disco Elysium, I have the fucking, I have the thing on, cassette, so. Because I'm the biggest fucking nerd. Alright. Let's, play some music. See if it's too loud. Hopefully. Well, I probably won't get any ad revenue. So that sucks. I'm sure this album's copyrighted for sure, and I'm probably not going to be able to get any fucking ad revenue. Thanks, YouTube. That's actually not even YouTube. Well, kind of. They're really strict on enforcing it, but you know, that's fine. No problem. Cyberpunk, for all its flaws, is pretty dope. Are you talking about the game Cyberpunk? I actually couldn't stand the game Cyberpunk. I thought it sucked. I was so disappointed in it. I think like everyone else. I think in a lot of ways, you know, to some of you guys who've played Cyberpunk, you might relate. Allie, I don't mean to shit on your game that you liked. I'm sorry. But I thought Cyberpunk was horrid. It felt like Borderlands and Far Cry. Like there's no RPG elements. The story was okay. The world was not interactive whatsoever. It was just there. It was really pretty. It was a very pretty, empty husk of a world, right? It was great from a distance, and that's about it. And I just get tired of those games because that's all AAA games now, right? AAA games is something that you can only enjoy from a distance, right? Like think about the Far Cry itself. Like I fucking hate the Far Cry series. I loved Far Cry 3. But I fucking hate game like the Ubisoft game formula, like the new Assassin's Creeds. Oh my god, I just can't fucking stand it. Like it's the same shit. It's the same with Call of Duty. Although Call of Duty has a more visceral multiplayer thing where like multiplayer like Call of Duty itself can suck depending on the game. Like this last Call of Duty was really bad. I quite enjoyed Modern Warfare, but that's it. It's not like all that great, you know? I almost bought $1,000 of a monitor and graphics card just to play Cyberpunk, but then I saw the glitches in review. You saved your money, man. Last game I really liked was Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was wonderful. I really liked Breath of the Wild as well. Thoughts on Saucer? Man, so I don't really know anything about him other than like through Lacan, right? Which I ought to really read. I know Lacan was I think like Lacanian psychoanalysis is roughly like Freudian psychoanalysis with the emergence of things like linguistics and semiology, right? In some ways, I guess we can say that broadly, but yeah. What do you think of Disco Elysium's treatment of politics? To me, it seemed deep, and at times it seemed like parody. Well, it's both. Dude, Disco Elysium's such a... Guys, it's such a good game. Like, if you guys don't play games, which is totally understandable, it's like... It's a game that you recommend to people who don't play games. Like, in some ways... Oh, that's who... Hey, what's up, Kyle? Semiotics chat. Like, in some ways, like, Disco Elysium's the game you recommend to people who don't play games. It's like reading a really good book, except it's going to be better. In my mind, it's almost better than, like, really good books because there's such a huge level of interaction. Of course, that's why stories in certain games can be just much more impactful, as there is that level of interaction and, like, lived-in experience, right? But, yeah, the irony of making a Cyberpunk game in the AAA space, right? Isn't it kind of funny? I think a lot of people said that. And also, too, CD Projekt Red made a Cyberpunk game. I love... Like, I didn't expect that to happen. Like, The Witcher 3, guys, is probably my favorite game of all time. The Witcher 3 really is, like... It's like... I have, like, a top 5. It's, like, somewhere... It's, like, somewhere between, like... The Witcher 3, The Last of Us, Part 1, by the way. Part 2 fucking sucked. Sorry, guys, for anyone who liked it. The Witcher 3... Last of Us, oh god, I love Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas, Disco Elysium, and then number 5 is probably like Red Dead Redemption 2. I love Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, Fallout 4 has some really good mods, but I gotta be real, man. Bethesda really are not good at like the RPG sort of thing. Kyle, if you say Disco Elysium enough times, I just appear. Hey, it's understandable. I'm actually looking forward to... I think you made a... I haven't checked out that channel, right? I think you are a part of a channel. You make videos about games, right? Guys, if you haven't checked out Labor Kyle, he makes pretty cool videos. You should check him out. Bojo's channel. What about Mass Effect? I love Mass Effect. Mass Effect was fucking awesome. It was so good. 1, 2, and 3. 2? Well... I liked Mass Effect 3, right? I liked it. Like, it was necessary, but I think, you know, that's kind of considered the weakest link out of the trilogy. Mass Effect 2 is again among one of my more favorite games as well. Oh, one of my favorite songs ever. Dun, 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 dun. Dude, talk about hauntology, this song. Or rather, more just nostalgia. I guess there's a difference. Anyways, if you can't tell, I really love Disco Elysium soundtrack, so... Oh, I hear a lot of people say Undertale's really good, actually. I'd be interested. You know, I almost wish... And it's totally okay, like, I get it. I totally understand. Actually, I don't. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought about it, I'm like, alright, I get... So, anytime I stream and I play games... I have like a capture card. I have a second computer. So like my gaming experience, God, I'm really fucking extra with this shit. I go balls to the wall with want to do anything. Nonetheless, I have an entire separate gaming rig, so I can stream and play games and it doesn't affect my performance whatsoever. But anytime I play games and I stream, I have like 5 viewers. I'm not even fucking around. Like it's more fun. It's fun to interact. So if I play a game, I like to be able to like interact and like, you know, see chat and stuff, but I only have like 5 people and it's totally fine. Like I don't, you know, like I'm not mad about that really, but I am, you know, like, I get it. Like, you know, I'm a theory and philosophy channel, and a lot of people aren't interested in that. Yet on the flip side, people are interested in hearing me talk. And that's also really fucking weird, because I guess I might have some interesting stuff to say, but it's stuff that other people say anyways, you know? That's why, like, I treat at least, like, streaming, what I do is, like, very recreationally. I really like, when I do streams, I love interacting, I love doing that. I take my videos really fucking seriously, though. I guess I take everything serious regarding this, right? Like, you know, I take streaming seriously too, right? But it's a little bit different. I have more fun with streaming, if that makes sense. My videos are all business. Not really business, but they're all, you know, I take it seriously. Do you stream games on YouTube? I would like to stream some more. I would like to stream more games. But I like I was saying, like, usually my streams dip down pretty low, and that's okay, right? Like, this is a philosophy and theory channel, but streaming games is actually a lot of work, right? So I think a lot of people, like, a lot of people think, like, you know, oh, I want to be a streamer or something like that. Like, wow, these people get paid. I would love to get paid thousands of dollars to play video games only, right? I would actually rather do this. I'd like to get paid thousands of dollars to make the videos that I make. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but nonetheless, I would still like to make millions of dollars playing video games, right? And that's what people do. I think everyone would, but it's hard work. It really is hard. Like, I've streamed games all the time. Like, this past summer, like last summer, I streamed Escape from Tarkov. I used to stream on Twitch, by the way, and Twitch sucks. And I used to play Escape from Tarkov a lot. And, dude, streaming games is hard. Like, that shit's intensive. Like, paying attention to chat, playing your game. And when you're playing a game like Tarkov or like Rainbow Six Siege, which I used to stream a lot, you have to like hold in your anger, because you don't want to get on those fucking YouTube videos where it's like streamers raging and they're like punching their fucking monitors and stuff. So you have to hold your anger in too, which, granted, nowadays I play way more because I don't have as much time, right? I make videos now, so I don't play a lot of like multiplayer games. I play more single player games. Arteen, how's it going, dude? Arteen Salimi. Again, just like Labor Kyle, if you guys have not checked out Arteen. Arteen is an incredibly underrated YouTuber, guys. Very, you know, we were talking about art earlier. Arteen does it all, right? He's a good video editor, very, very good video editor, and he makes really good music. As someone who also makes music, I try to make music. I don't know how you do it, Arteen. I don't know if you use Ableton Live or if you use any analog gear or whatever, but dude, this Arteen's good at all of it. Like, much more artistic brained than I am. Very, very good. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, you really should. Very creative stuff. You should take the political compass test for the memes. Oh my god. That sounds a little fun, though. You guys want me to... I don't know. I might have to, like, dedicate something to that. It's gonna be horrible. Yeah, he just did an interview with Isabel Miller, and goddamn, we got all the people in here. First is Tragedy also makes really cool videos too, guys. You check him out as well. But yeah, he had Isabel. Is it Isabella or Isabel Miller, right? And I haven't been able to read her stuff lately. I've had too much on my plate. But she wrote a book, guys. For any of you guys don't know, called The Psychoanalysis of AI, and just the title of that seems really fascinating. So I'm really interested. And I watched Arteen's interview with her, and it was really good. Also, again, it was an interview, and it was the most artistic interview I've ever seen. It's hilarious. Arteen can make, like, anything, like, right? Like, interviews are sterile and boring and shit, right? And Arteen found a way to, like, in the most awesome way. It's like this, like, kind of interview slash video. It was really cool. Yeah, I gotta read that book. Yeah, dude, I got to as well. I'm actually reading right now How to Read Lacan from Zizek. I'm actually gonna make and the reason I am is that's winning. It won our sort of Patreon voting thing, right? Like, shameless advertisement on Patreon, guys. If you guys give me your money, you can choose the videos that I make. It's quite cool, actually. You know, you're a part of an oligarchy. And, they chose, sort of a Zizek video on Lacanian psychoanalysis. I find Zizek, if it wasn't for Zizek, I don't think Lacan actually would be as popular as he is today. Well, definitely not. But, so I think rooting Zizek in a sort of, like, or giving Zizekian examples of Lacan's psychoanalysis is quite good. So that's our next video we're doing, but I'm reading his book, How to Read Lacan. I already read Sublime Object of Ideology. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to tie Lacanian psychoanalysis through the lens of Zizek in one fucking video, and it's gonna be so hard, but I'll figure it out. Oh, yeah. I actually have... I just got his first seminar, Lacan's, but, yeah. I haven't gotten to it yet. I've only read about Lacan. Yeah, Zizek does bring some needed fun to the left. That's right. That's exactly right. Again, Ravi, no, I don't like Zizek. I love Zizek. I find Zizek to be one of the most important people, sort of, in the theory realm of the past for a long time. Definitely the 21st century. I think he's the most important. And you know, also why, and okay, so yeah, I think he's the most, like we were talking about earlier, you know, there's Deleuzians, or I don't say Deleuzians, you can't be a Deleuzian, first off, like that's not a fucking thing, like, I mean, you can, but you know what I mean, like, there's something, like, you're not a Deleuzian, so for someone who puts as much emphasis on process and sort of, like, deterritorialization, or you know, like, being a Deleuzian doesn't make any fucking sense, but you know what I mean, but a lot of people don't like Zizek's sort of marriage to the dialectic, and that's fine. I don't care though. Like I said, I don't give a fuck. Like, I like the dialectic, and I like the sort of anti-dialectic, or the more singular sort of processual ontology, right, or epistemology, right, of like post-structural chaos, or you know, or really like Deleuze's and Guattari's outlook. I'm not sectarian with this shit. To be sectarian on this shit sucks. Like, that's not the point. He is pastiche. I don't think we should think of philosophers or theorists as like pastiche, or I guess pastiche is actually a little bit more descriptive, so good for you on that. Maybe, you know, but like good or bad, right? Like, as a sort of category of thought, I don't like a value judgment of a person or a philosopher. I don't really do that. I don't jive with that shit. It's just, I don't think it's not as useful, right? It's again, I think philosophy is gold, or it's digging for gold, or it's fishing for something, and you don't have to like everything, but the point is to find the good stuff along the way. Have you read Elaine Badiou? No, not yet. I really would like to. There's not a lot of videos on Badiou, like, you know, like in-depth videos, and I would love to be among the few to do that. I love the Raccoon of Philosophy. I don't know who the Raccoon of Philosophy is, actually. Ooh, I'm working on something with using Badiou right now. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. That's, yeah, I know roughly, sort of, you know, I've read about Badiou, and his ideas around being an event. I really ought to read him before I really, like, you know, go into him. I don't know too much about Badiou, other than, again, sort of like his concept of being an event, and sort of historical epochs marked through, like, historicity and, like, specific events. But that's, like, my vague understanding. philosophy is all about the free exploration of concepts, not label and categorization. I think that's right, right? I think that's probably puts it way better than I do, or I did, right? Philosophy should be something that's more free, right? And if it is free, it goes beyond categorization, you know? I truly don't get. I think it's a. God, we talk about this all the time, so I'm aware that I say this all the time, but again, it's such a shame that we approach sort of like antagonism comes first when it comes to how we do things in the West in a liberal context. Which is really funny, which is really like ironic. I point out this irony here about a lot of the people who bitch like on the left about liberals the most are ironically like they're the most like core metaphysically liberal people ever. I think that about a lot of like internet Marxists are actually like the perfect encapsulation of all that's wrong with liberalism. In the sense that there is this transfixed like libidinal entire libidinal economy based on identity, and that's really at the core of what happens with sort of online Marxism. Is it is a sort of testing ground of ideological gatekeeping, right, and building up of the self, right, and there's a lot of irony in that, but talk about that all the time. So. Have you delved into psychology outside of psychoanalysis? Yeah, a little bit. Well, so like I've taken psychology classes, like 2, and I like psychology, but I also I'm not a big fan of behavioral psychology. And again, I think I have the more psychoanalytic view of it. Like I think behavioral psychology helps people, right? Like the application of psychology as psychology goes, it's far too singular, and it's not sociological enough. Do you like Plastic Pills videos? Ben, I am probably the biggest Plastic Pills fan on the internet. Me and Pills and actually the dudes at the Pill Pot are quite close. They're all really cool guys. And in like the best ways, you know. I really appreciate them a lot. Like I appreciate like being a content creator, guys. Okay. All right. It's hard to put. All right. You learn really quick that a lot of content creators are bullshitting you all the time, like all the time. There is the constant thing that I see is it's just like such a facade, even among like lefty content creators, right? And I know it's a cliche that like lefty content creators doesn't like other lefty content creators. No, like it's not. I mean, there are individuals that I know for sure that I could point out, but there's a lot of lying that goes on. There's a lot of, oh, these videos take so long for me to make. Now, videos take a while to make, but listen, okay. And people can work at different capacities, different speeds, right? But people lie about that, right? I make fairly decently sort of long videos, right? They're almost always over 20 minutes. The majority of my videos are almost always over 20 minutes. And they take quite a bit of time to make. I do a lot of After Effects composition. I've seen people where I know what they're using in their editing process as pure presets. I use presets too, but I can tell like the extent, and they're like, oh, this editing, like all this editing workload and stuff like that. And, or, you know, like, God, guys, on their Patreon constantly, guys, Cuck Philosophy did this a lot. It was like, God, my videos take so long the editing process is so grueling. You would say it's not even the writing. It's really not. Like Cuck Philosophy's videos were, I think he was probably just busy with academia, and he can live his life however he wants. And he's like, that's not like the example of what I'm talking about like dishonest content creators. Like, I'm just saying there are examples like where content creators will say X happens nonetheless. But Pills, getting back to the point, Pills and all of them are among the most genuine, and they're not neoliberal with their sort of internet happenings, right? One of the other things that I really dislike is, okay, I really dislike the constant insistence of really small content creators. Their first interaction with you is, hey, can you share my video? Hey, can you like collaborate with me? And I can tell when, like, there's been some people I've collaborated with, very small content creators, and all of them, if I collaborated with you ever, it's because I trusted you and I know you're decent, and I've only been burnt once. I've been burnt by one person massively, and it was a horrible experience. But other than that, everyone else I've worked with, I was right. They're all cool people, and I really enjoy them a lot, and they're very sweet. But there's a very huge careerist neoliberal tonality to even small content creation on the left. And, you know, being involved in content creation, like, this is my full-time gig now, right? You're like, you experience it front and center, and I'm in the middle of it, right? I'm a small channel. I'm like in this limbo, right? I'm not some tiny channel, I'm not this huge channel, but I am in this 20K sub range and whatever, where it's like I'm in this, like, I'm a YouTuber, and then, you know, I'm not. So like, I have these relationships with people who aren't quite YouTubers, and then later on, like, I can relate and I talk to people who are much larger than me. Hey.
Just discovered your channel several weeks ago and have enjoyed greatly. We'll
hey.
Patreon when I get home
That's so kind. Thank you so much. That is incredibly kind. Thank you for the donation and Patreon. Like, that's dude, that's incredibly kind. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that a lot. I really do. That's very sweet. But yeah, so like, I have a relationship with people all along the spectrum of content creation. You see a lot of things that, you know, you never saw before, and the illusion sort of breaks. And it's sad sometimes, because you see there's a lot of really scummy people, and that's why I like Plastic Pills and all of them a lot, is they're very honest and they're very cool, and I really appreciate them a lot. And of course, he makes like the best videos. His videos are better than mine for sure, like, bar none. He's like the perfect person to do content creation, if you ask me. He's like also like Dylan himself. I don't think he doesn't like it when people say his name on the internet, but like, Pills, the guy who makes, like, a lot of people wouldn't notice, like, well, like, the dude on the camera in the videos, like Dylan or Plastic Pills, he's also very principled, right? Like, he makes videos about fundamentally what he thinks would be impactful and important, far above like financials or what's going to get him the most views. I don't think he's actually overly concerned with that. I think he is very much concerned about sort of sifting through dogma, sort of theory and philosophical dogma, or even political dogma, in a really in an impactful and non-alienating way, and he's way better at it than me. My mouth is a little bit too large for my own good, as I'm just kind of an opinionated person. I know that's like fucking biggest cliche, but he's very good at like understanding what he's doing with stuff, and I don't know, I'm a big fan. But I've also met a lot of really cool people, right? So like, I'm sitting here saying that, like, God, there's all these dishonest content creators. They're fucking everywhere, guys. I'm serious. Like, there are people that I've seen in here that I really love, like, that will interact with other content creators, and I know what's going on. Like, I'll stop there probably. But yes, I've met a lot of really far more good people than I have bad, for sure. And that's totally true. Totally real life. Okay. But I think someone did ask me about, do you like his video on Deleuze? Goddamn, guys, I get really chaotic when I start talking about something. But yeah, dude, I thought his last video, Deleuze and Nietzsche, was like his best video. It really was. So Cosmic, hard to blame them, hard to maintain a channel without trying to make it. So, okay. So, and it's hard to go into details here. That's actually not a problem, right? Like reaching out and talking to people, and like asking you to collaborate and shit. No. That's totally fine. And I apologize. I probably should have elaborated on this. It's like, you can tell when there's like a sort of, you can tell when there's something that's very artificial, right? Like there's a fake niceness, or what has happened to me in the past is I've worked with people, and like, they would like, I want to say I was bossed around a lot. like by people who had smaller channels than me. I would like try to help, not a lot, but like this only happened really once. But I've heard other people's experiences with people like this. It's like there is this yeah, it's hard to open up this YouTube chat. Yeah. I've had a lot of bad experience in that regard. Or no, sorry, not a lot. I've had a couple bad experiences, one being really bad. Yifan Zhang, thank you. Jeez, man, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $10 again. Oh my god. That's so nice. Thank you. And dude, that goes such a long way. Such a long ways for me. Thank you so much. You have bought me dinner. So I appreciate that a ton. Oh, gee, that Disco Elysium OST? Hell yeah, it is. Not only is it god damn it, I can't talk. Disco Elysium OST, it's Disco Elysium on cassette because I'm a fucking nerd, all right? And I love the fucking thing so much. I bought the album. I bought the actual album. What is it? Uncompressed, or there's no oh fuck. Why am I forgetting my audio terminology? Essentially uncompressed audio, right? And then I put it onto a cassette because I'm that fucking guy, all right? I'm such a nerd. It's actually, I get really... Okay. All right. My girlfriend will have her friend... Or, sorry, my fiance now, actually, will have her friends over, and I get kind of embarrassed, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have all of this shit. Here's all my synthesizer shit. I have a empty Euro rack module right now. I have all this synthesizer shit and music stuff, and I have this like cassette player. Like I get, yeah, Kyle got it. Lossless audio. That's right. I get a little insecure, maybe not really, but like I get a little like, oh shit, this is some nerdy shit. Like I go over the top with shit. I don't know. I made sure I love Disco Elysium's OST. It's beautiful. Probably the best in any game I've ever played. So I put it on cassette because I love sort of I love the ritual of that. Cassette doesn't sound as good as lossless audio at all. Like metal tape that's very expensive sounds close, but that's it. But I still like it, right? Dude, yeah, that's right. Now that's hardcore to the mega. Hardcore. The fucking egghead dude. I love that guy. Oh my god!
I am a Chinese migrant in Laos. I find Westerners are mostly idealistic, my econ professors, and very against
oh my lord,
Marxist
thank you so
analysis.
much. Truly.
Religion, the idea of God, play an important role? A Mashiist.
Truly, you do not. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, Zhang or Yifan, I apologize if I butcher your name. Thank you so much. That means a ton. That's a lot of money you just donated to me. Thank you. I hope you don't feel obligated to do that. That's incredibly kind. Thank you. You totally made the stream. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer this question and another two questions for the other donations. I'm happy to do so. So if anyone donates, I'll switch the topic or something like that. But seriously, thank you so much. That's so kind of you, really. So, I'm a Chinese migrant in Australia. Fine Westerners are mostly idealistic. Well, economics is among the most ideological fields in academia, I think. So, for that, not too surprising. And it's not to say, like, I think the more that I read Marxism and the more... Oh, no, dude, please do not apologize. Sorry for interrupting your train of thought. Please do not apologize. Ever. You are beyond kind. But, I think with, it's not to say, like, there is clearly a monumentally huge Western impetus. You hear anything Marxist or Marx related, and there's this guttural, heavy ideological reaction that happens where it's like this. Even guys, I mean, academics are some of the worst with it, right? They do it worse than anyone, and yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, right? Academia is full of people who reject almost anything Marxist, even if they are fairly left. There is I don't even know how to explain it, but it like goes beyond Marxism. It's like any sort of critical thought around anything, right? So I consider, like, I really do consider most 20th century philosophy and above, it contends with Marx deeply. Like, there is, like, guys, and I'm not even talking about like dumbass fucking right-wing philosophy. That's hardly philosophy. Like, truly, I really think most philosophy in the 20th century is quite left-leaning or radical in a lot of ways, very critical of how things go. Obviously, not always, and not everyone, right? But it contends with Marx in a lot of ways, and that is why things like philosophy, I really think, like, in academia, especially continental philosophy, they don't like that. They don't want continental philosophy, which is also why I get really beyond weirded out when some like Marxists will shit on continental philosophers, like continental philosophy is for fucking nerds and shit like that. It's mumbo jumbo, which people in continental philosophy are among some of the only people who defend an actual Marxist tonality towards things in a deeper philosophical level, right? And so, yeah, no, there's an impetus away from continental philosophy. There's an impetus towards almost, like, the best way to describe it is a capitalist, like, a realism, right? Like, Mark Fisher, I think, got it right. Like, there's a realism, capitalist realism at that just psychologically strangleholds people and they don't even realize it, right? And these are people who are left thinking in their own mind, and, you know, they'll you know, the biggest thing in many ways is the sort of identity politics sort of thing in academia, where it's almost Freud won that war, right? When you're looking at, all right, what defines the self, the subject? Is it class or is it identity? Of course, I think any smart people say it's both. But nonetheless, say that battle happened, I think class has much more to say about you, about your happenings, than your sexuality, than what Freud sort of pushed or sort of proposed. And it looks like Freud won in academia and Marx lost. So yeah, definitely there is a very deep ideological sort of anti-Marxist ingrained sort of phenomenon in academia, hard, and it's right-wingers would never have you believe that, but it's totally true. And also too, to get onto it, I critique Marxism a lot, but only from the position that there are things that can almost elaborate on all the very good things Marx has brought forth in a better way, in some ways, in a more relevant light. I don't consider myself really a Marxist in some ways. Like, I guess I do. Like I don't consider myself really anything. Like, people ask me, what the fuck are you? I don't know. I really like Marx in a lot of ways, and I still, Marx is like, when you think about who's the smartest philosophers in the past, like, 500 years, like, Marx is, like, arguably number one in my mind. Like, holy fuck, the amount of shit he got right was really messed up. But nonetheless, yeah, I love Marx, but I don't know if I consider myself like a Marxist, you know? Philosophy does a lot of things there, and it can open you up to a lot of really different, unique, very creative planes to how we should approach sort of radical philosophy or a radical politics, if that makes sense. Labor Kyle, history departments are the same way. So yeah, so I have a degree in history as well. Like, I'm political science and history. History was way better than political science. Political science was abhorrent, horrible department, or horrible field of study. And history can get like that, right? I wrote a thesis this past semester, and the department chair really did, and she taught the class. She did not like my thesis, and a lot of my history paper had to do with a lot of, like, historical materialism, and she didn't like that. She told me, and I wanted to keep my paper sort of like a meta history or a history of ideas, and my department didn't like that, but I didn't really give a fuck, to be honest. I really didn't. And she really didn't. She was like, get rid of the theory, get rid of all of that, just talk about history. I'm like, the fuck? Like, I don't want to, like, I fucking hate this. I don't like academia at all in the slightest. I really don't. But history can get pretty bad real quick, but I've also had my best professors in history. Political science sucked across the board, pretty much. I had good professors as political science professors. It's just that the content that we talked about and like what was in political science. Oh God, talk about ideology. That on steroids, man. Your master, oh yeah, your committee chair was the same way. Yeah. Dude, yeah, poli-sci, it is complete Chicago school monsters for sure. Based on what you seem to like, it seems like you're left accelerationist. Is that super off base? No, so I wouldn't consider myself an accelerationist. Maybe it like, are you speaking like maybe in like the Nick Land sort of like, at least in my mind, accelerationism would posit like a destruction of something. Or like a total destruction, I guess. No, I don't know if I would. Okay, I don't really think about this much. What would I consider myself? Not that this is really an important question or an important thing, but nonetheless, I don't really ever do this, so I don't. Fuck, man. I would maybe consider like the most accurate term you could probably like. I think like, all right, maybe neo-Marxist. I don't even know if that's right, because I like the dialectic in some ways, like maybe epistemologically in some circumstances, and then maybe metaphysically I don't. Like, it's just weird. I don't know. But I really love psychoanalysis as well. I really, I don't fucking know, man. I have no idea. Thinking like Mark Fisher's vision of accelerationism is fundamentally Marxist. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, post-Marxist. Yeah, that might. Yeah, Baruz. That's probably no, literally, I've thought about this. Gunzy, postmodern neo-Marxist. Ironically, kind of. Like, I thought about this. Like the whole, dumbass Jordan Peterson neo-Marxist thing. That kind of like describes my politics a little bit, like, or not politics, I don't think in terms of like my politics or my political views, but sort of my general tone and outlook towards like an interaction with the world and stuff. Yeah, it's sort of a post-Marxist, postmodern sort of thing. Post-postist. Fuck yeah, man. Now you're really getting into the meta shit. That's right. We'll go with that. I'm a post-postist. I'm gonna actually put that in my. I'll put that in my Twitter bio. Post-postist theory nerd. Oh. Take after Lacan and just say Freudian. I don't think I'm a Freudian either. That's the fucked up part, man. I mean, I guess I don't really, like the Oedipal, like the Oedipus complex. I'm not completely sold on. I really like Freud. Like that. Look, I like. Oh fuck me, man. I get so sick of cynicism. I hate it. I hate the whole fucking, like, people base their philosophy on who they disagree with more than who they agree with. That in my mind is horrible, but that is totally the truth. Like, I can't think of this better than, like, online Marxists. It's not, like, your love for Marx or your agreeance with, like, historical materialism. No, it's almost like, in some ways, the marking of your good Marxism is your combativeness against something else, the other. It's your upholding of certain ideological narratives, right? Your language, your interaction, right? Like, your organization. And that's what dictates that. But that what dictates that isn't like a love, which I think is very important in theory and philosophy. Like, that should be the core, is it should be a deep appreciation for something. If you're going to base yourself in anything, it's like, it should not be cynicism or what I disagree with. And that is how I want to literally say, like, 60% of all people do. Like, that is it. It's like, it is how they interact with the world. It's how they interact with ideas. It's with people. It's, I'm going to, I notice a lot of political discussions comes from the position of like convincing, and not discussion. It's bizarre to me. And we define our there's another thing, we define our politics and philosophy by aesthetic as well, and that's a big one. Adhering again to certain language, certain sort of visual things, and like it's a very surface thing, and and even worse, it's a surface thing rooted in antagonism, and I don't like that. That's right. Joey has that correct. I'm proud of you guys. I'm happy that all of you guys. There's a lot of people in here that have said that, like, philosophy is panning for gold, finding the ideas that help you help others and make the world better. That's right. That's it. Yeah. Well, sure. Ben, I don't think philosophy necessitates action. No, I would agree. Like, I think, but I do think, so maybe, hey, I'm trying to find some continuity with my deep original Marxist self. I think some of the best philosophy is philosophy that does change, and that does, right, that acts. I don't think it's probably necessary per se, you're right, but I do think some of the best philosophy is one that that heightens interaction, if that makes sense. And that requires, I think, action. Sounds like Vonnegut. Sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. I don't even know I don't think I've actually heard of. Oh, I know who this dude is. Kurt Vonnegut. How do you pronounce his name? I've seen this dude's face, though. This is the dude, I remember Kurt Vonnegut or something said he didn't like Bob Dylan or some shit. Excuse me. Ben, that's fair. Yeah, no. But no, I think it is true. Like, on the other end, even though you're coming from a critique of things, you can, philosophy can be a very neoliberal endeavor, and I'm not talking neoliberal as, like, economics, I'm talking as like a production sort of apparatus, whether that is for the good or not, right? Like, there should be a level, I think there should be a level of stillness in philosophy as well. Would you call yourself eco something? So I mean, yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be wrong to say that. I think that's where it's like harder to find what I am, because or I think it should be difficult to define anything, what anyone is. Like, I think if you're really interacting with things, it should be difficult to narrow down what the fuck you are, right? Like, that's good. That's not bad. And so would you call yourself eco something? Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, like, I'm almost unanimously anything that really, like, fucks with our environment, really hurts, you know, other species. I'm pretty against, you know, like, climate change is pretty fucking bad, and it's a big deal, and it's gonna probably fucking kill us someday. And that's not good. Yeah, I mean, is that like a big defining thing of my sort of political views? And not, I mean, it's deeper than that, right? Like, philosophical views, absolutely, yeah, for sure. It's a cliche, but I love nature more than I just love nature, right? There's all kinds of fucking dumbass right-wingers who, they're hunters and they love nature, and they hunt at national parks, and then they're really adamant about their political favorites, their personality people that they really love, their you know, their heroes, and they're all, again, unanimously against national parks. Essentially in favor of completely destroying the fucking planet in favor of capital, right? Vonnegut. Ooh, there's two. First is tragedy, Vonnegut. Seth Johnson says Vonnegut. All right. Why'd my music stop? Oh, well, it's done. That's right. The thing is so long, the soundtrack's so long, I couldn't even fucking I filled up my 90-minute cassette tape with music. I don't know, for all you synth fans out there, I just got my first Eurorack module So I don't know if any of you guys like synthesizers and shit. I haven't gone into full modular synthesis yet, but I'm looking forward to doing this. About this thing used? It's a Clouds. I don't know, kind of cool. I eventually want to do some. I want to do some music streams. That would be fun. Satisfying click. Hell yes, it is. It's the tactility of and physicality of analog sound, man. People are like, oh, the warmness, it sounds better. No, it doesn't. Analog almost sounds worse most of the time, but it's still, it's okay. It's it sounds worse, and that makes it better. We don't like perfection. Yeah, I didn't mean that Phil must instigate action, but finding the things that help you make sense of the world and help others is only yeah. Have you met libertarians or ANCAPs in real life? I know quite a few libertarians, and it's fucking depressing. I don't know about any anarcho-capitalists, though. I don't know that. I don't know any of them, but definitely a lot of self-proclaimed libertarians, and their reasoning for being libertarian is the most dumb fucking shit ever. It's fucking so stupid. I find libertarianism hands down the most ideological. Like, truly, guys, like, I don't even think fascism is no, like, seriously. Fascism is much more harmful, but libertarianism, in my mind, is much more ideological than even, say, something like fascism. Like, as far as core ideology goes, like, it absolutely is. And fascism's pretty fucking ideological. Well, sort of I don't even say communism. But Marxism, Leninism's incredibly ideological. In many ways, sort of anarchism can be very ideological. It is true, I think, the more I don't really agree with the political spectrum, that concept. I mean, I guess it's okay to sort of make sense of stuff, but like it's not, we shouldn't take it as something that's like some objective thing. That said, like, if we do map things on a spectrum, yeah, it seems that, like, you get more ideological the further you go down the totem pole. Like, just at a base level. Whether that's, like, bad is, like, it depends, right? Everything's ideological, right? But I don't think we should lean into it. That's the big mistake a lot of people think. Like, they read Zizek or they read Althusser, they're like, fuck, man, everything's ideological. Man, everything's fucking authoritarian. Thus, we shouldn't care whether we're ideological. We shouldn't care whether we're, you know, authoritarian. That's fucking dumbass thinking, and it's everywhere. It's weak thinking, I think. Just not smart. SpongeBob SquarePants. How's it going, friend? I fucking love this song. This is, alright. The Whirling in Rags, guys. And this is like the 8 p.m. Whirling in Rags. Yeah, libertarians in US are just pro-weed Republicans. I mean, that's just about it. Like, they're in favor of you fucking whoever, including a lot of the times, like, people who can't consent. They're definitely in favor for a lot of them are. It's so fucking clear. I mean, a lot of them actually admit it, but not all of them. I'm not going to say that. But yeah, they're just in favor. They're a little bit more socially progressive, but fiscally they're actually in some ways, like, in some ways they're much worse than Republicans economically. Only pol sci use horseshoe theory. To be fair, you know, I have a degree in political science. I never once came across like horseshoe theory at all. I think political scientists can think like that, but I don't know if they accept horseshoe theory as like something we should take seriously. Yeah, libertarian tends. I mean, Nathan, I think that's probably right. Yeah. I don't know how you can read Althusser and come away with that, dude. I've had. I mean, I kind of agree. Like, I see how like Althusser can prescribe, and same with like Zizek can prescribe like the infectious nature of ideology, and you can kind of come to the conclusion that like, all right, like we can't really avoid it as praxis, maybe. I just think that's the wrong conclusion to come to. You exit ideology through Marxist analysis. Yeah, well, that's what I've heard a lot of people who quite like Althusser, and they base a lot of their there's a lot of commentary on ideology from Marxist via an Althusserian lens that sort of defends like an ideological sort of thing. But it's like, of course, it's like my ideology is better than yours. I'm already eating the trash. What's your take? Well, I am eating the trash too, right? I can't escape the trash. I think it is wise to try to sift through it. We can, of course, come to the inverse conclusion that like the most pertinent ideology is one of its opposite, right? It's cynicism. It's not like I talk about this as well, and this is something that is still, I don't care. I'll talk about this all fucking day long, dude. This is the most ideological thing today. Isn't like, wow, these, you know, like, wow, man, I'm above ideology because, like, dude, I don't watch fucking Fox News and MSNBC. These people, you know, they're sheep. Like, I think that's the Western liberal position that I think is, like, the position on ideology is, like, again, false consciousness. It's, oh, these sheeple who follow whatever people say. No, it's the fucking opposite, man. It's people who react to semblances of authority or things. They react to things with cynicism, and that cynicism turns its opposite, and that's the most heavy ideological thing that we see today. I think with like right-wing politics, it's one of the biggest things. Is it's a reaction constantly, and it almost puts a different definition on like reactionary or like reaction as like conservative politics in my mind, because it's how sort of their ideological functioning goes. Is it's conservative in that regard. It doesn't account for how humans interact with ideas and stuff, right? Like I think Zizek is just very very relevant here, where it's like, no, ideology today is cynicism. It's not people being tied and glued to their fucking TV and believing everything they say. It's the opposite. It's like, no, I'm going to go on YouTube and listen to people who are more accurate. They are they're more informed than talking heads on TV. They're more reputable and reliable. They're, they're not being, their executives and bosses aren't going to be mad at them if they talk about something. And then they lean into it. And then they accept the counter narrative or the counter of what's going on, and that's a take hold. Yeah, cynicism equals last man. And yeah, in many ways, yeah. In contemporary societies, democratic or totalitarian, that cynical distance, laughter, irony are, so to speak, the ruling ideology is not meant to be taken seriously or literally. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, truly, like Nathan, I think, and that's kind of the video that launched this channel in a lot of ways, was my video on the sublime object of ideology. And I still can't think of a book in many ways that's like more relevant. Like I keep coming back to the sublime object of ideology, and it's that's a fucking book and a half, man. It is definitely, I would imagine, I haven't read everything Zizek. I've read a lot of Zizek, but it's got to be among his, magnum opus of works for sure. Thank you. I thought it was good. Looking back as, a content creator now, I ought to fix some things in it, but it is what it is. All right, Melkor. Okay, here. Baruz. Oh, Baruz, I apologize if I mispronounce you. I think I follow you on Twitter, my friend. I actually retweeted one of your tweets. It was something about like child labor laws or something, and you quoted, you quoted it with a picture of really children being worked to death. I don't know if that's you or not. I use the interpolation thing in my PhD research on Azerbaijan. Bajan, I don't know if that's right. It works well in the analysis of authoritarian regimes as well. I think so. In Argentina, most libertarians are full-on anarcho-capitalists, for fuck's sakes. They love to rebel against the state, but don't care about... Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, why libertarianism is among the most ideological, like, ideologies like ever. It's like it subverts itself at the moment freedom is captured and according to their sort of goal, right? The minute the state is taken care of, that's it. Like, talk about ideology. Like, authority and liberty happens away from the state, and they literally do not account for a freedom outside of the negative, right? Negative liberty, negative freedom, the absence of barriers is the only concept of freedom to them. They don't partake in like access or positive liberty, positive freedom of the presence of something or access. It's the most crazy, ideologically fucking unsound politics I think I can imagine, right? Like, I mean, again, too, like, fascism's among the worst, but it's like, I find there's a core in libertarianism that is just far more ideological than fascism could even dream to be. It's that, yeah. I think you guys get the point. What do you think about Snowden? Yeah, I like Snowden. I think people like Julian Assange and Snowden are absolute heroes, and it's a shame that what happened, you know, what's going on with them. Dealing with consumerist relatives, I would say Herbert Marcuse is also prominent right now. Herbert Marcuse is very prominent. Marcuse is something else. I actually even think in the critical theory canon, he's a little bit under talked about. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm sure for his time, Marcuse was more popular, but he's not so much anymore. That's why Matt Taibbi. Did you guys remember that fucking Substack article he wrote? Matt Taibbi and the cult of Marcuse, Anon, the cult of Herbert Marcuse. The cult of Herbert Marcuse. Like, what? The 5 fucking people in academia who even talk about Marcuse? Like, guys, I got 2 fucking degrees and I never fucking all throughout getting my bachelor's, I never heard Marcuse's name mentioned once. Oh, I did in a political philosophy class. We never talked about him. Professor just said his name once. That's it. That's it. All my 5 years. But yeah, Marcuse is very is very similar to early Baudrillard. The system of objects feels very Marcusean. I think that's right, Joey. Yeah, Marcuse was the Zizek of his time, an academic rock star. I think that's right. Yeah, I think definitely back in the day he was much bigger, and he was like I think he was the main thesis advisor to like who was that activist? What's her name? Angela Davis. Yeah, I don't like calling theorists underrated, but Marcuse is underrated. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that definitely one who isn't mentioned as much as he probably should be is Marcuse. I saw, Kyle, you had, what is it? What's the fucking book? Eros and Civilization. That's a good one. It's a really good one. It's not too, it's a pretty easy read, too. I find Eros and Civilization to be like a really good precursor into getting into Lacan. Eros and Civilization essentially takes Freud through a sociological lens. If you want to talk about the issues of psychology as it's developed, Herbert Marcuse does a good job of talking about that in Eros and Civilization. You're gonna use it to talk about the boss baby? That's fucking awesome. Yeah, and yeah, definitely One-Dimensional Man as well. One-Dimensional Man is definitely his most famous book for sure, but I think Eros and Civilization gets talked about even less. I eventually will do a video on One-Dimensional Man, no doubt. But Benjamin is deeper for me. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Frankfurt School has a long list of really good stuff. Yeah. So Jake Willard. So speaking of cynicism, we could even say that libertarians are those who do actually take the ruling ideology extremely seriously. Yeah. Well, Okay, if you look at like the ruling ideology seriously, I think the ruling ideology is one that's actually way closer to libertarianism than what they would like to admit, right? Like, if you want to take, like, libertarianism, I would still, I mean, kind of. I mean, it's, yeah, we're getting into, like, you know, economics and stuff like that, but they take it seriously and they don't, you know? Like, I think more than anything is, what makes libertarianism much more ideological is libertarians' ability to adhere to a strict line of negative liberty and thinking and not apply it in some ways to other facets of life, like economics, right, and the workforce. Its ability to value something like liberty and flip it on its head and ignore it in other ways for the sake of adhering to a sort of ideological core in libertarianism, right? Like, if that makes sense. Like, it's that they can value something and throw it away like that. And in many ways, that's what makes, like, really, like, ideology really powerful, is that it allows you to contradict yourself or do harmful things and contradict yourself in sort of your, I don't know, like the way you go about things very easy. That's and libertarians are very good at that. Someone said hardcore. We're on the fucking we're on the fucking Disco Elysium fucking what is that? That church. We're in the Eric Fromm is so I haven't read Fromm. Art of Loving. Interesting. I gotta check that out. I haven't checked out Fromm at all, and I really need to. Yeah, Cosmic. This is the song. This is the hardcore. Fucking egghead. I turned my first playthrough. I turned egghead into a communist, and there was like, when you're in the process of turning him into a communist, his friends are like, please, dude, don't turn him into a communist, please. And your guy's like insistent. He's like, no, class warfare is the only thing. And his friend's like, please don't do this. And then Egghead's like, hello, comrade. Oh, dude, it is like Disco Elysium's like discourse on political ideology is the fucking greatest shit. Like, their commentary on communism is wonderful too. Like, they were like, so like, okay, you have amnesia and Disco Elysium, right? You wake up because you got so fucked up one night. Hey, you got so fucked up. You had a really good night, and you woke up with like amnesia from your alcoholism and drug abuse. And so a lot of the game revolves around talking to different personalities in you. And, you know, you can ask the question, like, what the fuck is communism? Like, because your guy doesn't know anything anymore. He's got amnesia. And your brain will tell you communism is losing. It's when you try really, when you try really hard and you lose. And it's just like, and it's like you ignore that, and you think, what it says, the personality says communism's when you lose constantly, but you convince yourself you're actually winning. And I'm like, dude, that's like, I mean, that's literally it. Yeah, dude, I've already done 2 playthroughs. I'm gonna have to do a 3rd. I'm about to, actually. If you look at the global south, neoliberalism has bankrupted completely after the 3-decade experiment. Oh, I mean, it will be revealed as a failure too pretty soon in the West. Certainly, I would love to see an alternate. I think capitalism has a good couple, at least a good century left, I think. It's going to be a really turbulent one. But yeah, no, I mean, it's going to go through at least, I mean, that's what capitalism does. It dies and it comes back to life, right? Capitalism is just a fucking big zombified economic system. And it's going to die again. It already kind of did during the COVID thing. We had to resuscitate it. And it's going to happen again, right? And it's going to happen in way bigger ways, right? So, I don't know. Not looking forward to that part, though. Capitalism is a vampire for sure. I think we're all witnessing the return of the state. Return of the state, how's that? Oh, yeah. I see, yeah, in many ways, yeah. From, like, the sort of neoliberal revolution of the 80s and stuff. Yeah, definitely. Like, we're... if that's what you mean, yeah, I see that for sure. Okay, so... are you pro or contra state? Like, a lot of my sympathies are very much, like, and a lot of the things that I value, the state can kind of, you know, like, it's just hard to say whether you're pro or negative state, right? Like, I don't think it's as, you know, it's that, it's such a complex thing. It's like, there's going to seemingly be an inevitable issue with just how the state functions. Maybe we can make it better and or worse. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not in favor of some states, right? Yeah, some governments and states are worse than others. But in general, I'm skeptical of states, and I'm actually. So I guess here's another way to put it. If the state can get I think it is okay. We should live and maybe structure politically life and live in such a way where the state isn't, like, we utilize the state as little as possible, maybe, like, or sorry, when I say possible, I mean as like to the point that it may be, like, harmful, right? Like, I think that, like, clearly on social issues, I'm such a libertarian in a lot of ways. Like, I think really, you know, that's such a complex, that's a very hard question to answer. I might have to get back to you on that one. No, there's a lot of things that I don't like about the state. There are a lot of things the state does very well, or much better than certain economics that we've experienced. It's like capitalism, feudalism, what be it. We'll see. I think that the main problem with the contemporary left that they don't know what to do with the state. Interesting, okay. Usually left-wing theorists are against the state and demonize it, starting from Marx. Huh. You know, I never thought about the concept of the state being something of contention in that regard. You like, what do we do with it ideologically speaking? Yeah, I don't know. That's a really that's actually that's a very interesting thing, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's true. And you're kind of pointing out the issue with sort of the bastardization of, like, even, like, remote, like, left-wing thought with right-wingers that is like, oh, they're big government. Fuck no. Like, I think in so many ways left-wingers aren't. Like, it's just, yeah, it's true. There is an ideological sort of thing, like, what do we do? I think I am fairly pro, wow. Forgive me, guys. I like to think about shit. I don't know. That's definitely, yeah. I think that is probably a very, that's an interesting question on an ideological level that I haven't thought about in that language. And can you be a Marxist if you don't think capitalism did any good? Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the other thing. Well, like, yeah, capitalism, even in the Marxist, like, Marx, like, I think that's oh, this is fucking so stupid, is that the sort of hate capitalism thing gets in the way of actually understanding how capitalism operates. And a lot of Marxists point this out, to be fair, like a ton. But it's like always some Marxist who read Marx and they tell other fucking online Marxists, like, guys, you're moralizing the entire fucking thing. You're not getting at the root of what's going on. Capitalism is an emancipatory system. And then we can go a different couple ways. Some people actually recognize this, right? So there's people who read Marxist theory, they recognize it's an emancipatory system, and they want to honestly like almost minimize that emancipation in some ways, right? They, if that makes sense. But of course, in other ways, especially among social things, yeah, capitalism is something that tends to free in a lot of ways, and it's decent at sort of changing social relations as far as like sex and gender goes, and sexuality. It's been okay with that, you know? It's obviously been piss poor materially. Yeah. He does a great Marxist analysis about the concept of state near the end of the book. Interesting, okay. I haven't read any Harvey. I ought to. I don't know who can spit some truth about hegemony and Fordism. Well, at least Mark Fisher talks a lot about Fordism a lot and how we are in a very different stage of economics from Fordism, and I agree with him. I think we are definitely in a post-Fordist world, and in many ways it's much worse and unforgiving. Just to clarify, the red states were never communist. They were themselves socialist and communist. Communism was the goal. Well, yeah, for sure. They were just led by communist parties. Unfortunately, state planning as a means failed. Yeah, for sure. Certainly, yeah. Didn't the Russian example demonstrate that it is possible to go from feudalism to a higher social order without capitalism? Well, okay. I would argue that, okay, I don't think it's like not possible, like whether it's possible to go from feudalism to like socialism, I don't know, like maybe. I would say at least historically it may indicate the opposite, you know, like the fact that the fact that the Soviet Union dissipated and Russia is a very capitalist country now. I'd say historically to indicate the opposite, but it's like I don't think in those terms. I don't think in those I don't think like it's, you know, like it's not really important whether you can go from feudalism to socialism, right? Like I don't think there really is any feudal societies. Oh no, I don't think there is really. Yeah. USSR did achieve flawed gender equality. Well, okay, I'm gonna actually probably say no. I don't think, well, like, I think the USSR on a state level, yeah, perhaps. I would say at least how a lot of people in Russia, I do know this. I actually had a professor who, he's a political scientist, and his entire thing is Russian politics. And he lived in Russia. His wife is Russian. His son was born in Russia. He lived in St. Petersburg for like a long time before coming to the States. And it was in the time of the USSR. And he said it was really shocking to him, the homophobia and the sort of, it was way worse in the USSR than it was in the United States. I think in Eastern countries, I think it is true in a lot of ways. They are a lot more rigidly anti-gay, or there's a lot more people who have a sort of Eastern Orthodox sort of maybe Christian outlook on social and gender relations and stuff. Joel Steinke, apologies if I don't pronounce that right. What are you reading right now? I am reading Slavoj Žižek's How to Read Lacan, essentially his book trying to teach Lacan through his own language. And we will be doing a video on it. Also, I try not to use language like tankies. I don't think it's helpful in the slightest. Yeah. I think I think that we can use language like that, and it's way more pernicious, and I don't think it's as helpful. But I mean, I do see the I mean, an overly ideological Marxism, perhaps, that I know what people talk about when they, like, I went on Vosh recently, and as you guys probably know, or like last month or something like that, and I kind of tried to talk about that, like how we should be really careful with our language, and even though like we can recognize certain flaws and, you know, something like tankies, or like we can see the harmful nature of tankies, we got I don't think it's good to name call. I think it's one of the more harmful things to do. I personally try to I kind of avoid that. What would be your response to say to right-wingers or Zionists who say under Palestinian rule homosexuals and well, so I mean, I think the immediate thing for that is that, like, gay people in general are being killed from the Israeli military, like right now. Like they're I mean, it's like, it's just, it's not like, I don't even consider Israel an apartheid state. It's like worse than that. Like it's just like the worst example of like an apartheid state. Like, also some people say Israel's settler colonialism. Like it is, but it's like way worse than that. You know, like I wouldn't even use the term settler colonialism to describe Israel. It's far worse than that. It's that, yeah, I mean, like, sure, Palestinians, I mean, that's probably true. Like there is, at least on a state level, there are probably more protections for LGBTQ plus community or people in Israel, again, on a legal or state level, than there would be in Palestine. But right now, that's not really, like, that's not the pertinent issue, you know? We can talk about that whenever Israel is, right? Like, we can talk about that whenever Israel isn't, like, fucking completely murdering hundreds of people. Yeah, Bojo's channel, I have, there's a very, very cool, very nice dude who, he actually is, he's transcribing our videos, and he's making subtitles for him. He's like kind of like volunteered, like out of nowhere. He didn't ask for fucking, like, this dude is the nicest guy. And he's from Chile, and he was talking to me about that a little bit. But I'm a little bit unfamiliar, but I've seen, right, there seems to be a sort of left wave in that regard. Nonetheless, guys, I think it is roughly 8 o'clock where I'm at. I need to probably get going. This is such a fun stream, though. This is very fun. This is very good. And I want to, seriously, I want to thank Yifan Zhang or Zhang. Thank you so much, dude, for the donations. Like, that was very, very kind. Like, incredibly generous. Glad to have you here. Really glad you enjoyed the channel. Thank you so much for the support. Everyone else, thank you for all being here. Really, this was a fun stream. I don't do evening streams, guys. I usually do afternoon streams, so it's cool to do something different. Shoot, sorry I missed the stream. Take it easy. Oh, no problem, man. No, not at all. I'm glad you were here. At least in the end, if anything. I'll have the VOD up for a while, but other than that, guys, yeah, I always give the same spiel at the end of the thing. If you guys can support a couple bucks a month on Patreon, it allows all of this to survive. I just recently went full-time. I'll make an official video on it, but it's gonna be a rough start doing this full-time. I definitely don't make anywhere near enough money to comfortably live, but so if you guys really do like this, you like the videos, stuff like that, consider dropping a couple bucks if you can. I can hopefully give back. There's some perks. You get early access to stuff. Depending on the tiers, you can join our Discord. We have a Discord. Feel free to reach out to me whenever you want there. I did used to have a free Discord. By the way, a lot of people are like, oh, you paywalled your Discord. It's like, I didn't want to. Our last Discord got really bad. It got really, like, it was, and the moderators we couldn't keep up with a lot of the weird spam. So if you guys would like to join, feel free to reach out to me on there anytime. I appreciate all you guys being here. Yeah, Patreon is how I live and survive. Other than that, I have an Amazon link that you guys can bookmark. If you guys purchase anything on Amazon, it gives me a couple % back. Amazon sucks. if you shop elsewhere for ethical reasons, you are a good person, a better person than me. But if you do use Amazon and you're not using an affiliate link, consider doing so. I can help a content creator out, help me out a little bit. I get a small percentage of whatever you buy. So thank you guys. At the end of the day, seriously, this was a ton of fun. Appreciate you all. I'm probably going to head on out of here.